This is a sacred place for me. It is a safe place. It is a place for laughter, but it has also been a place for tears. It is a place for comfort, but at its best, it's a place for challenge, for hope, and even for despair. But most of all, for me, this is a place for honesty and truth. And so this morning, I've come to be honest with you, if I may. Honestly, I stand before you today, and what I feel more than anything else is world-weary and bone-tired. Over the past 12 months, I found myself questioning my decisions. My decisions as a parent and a husband, second-guessing, third-guessing, fourth-guessing my career choices, and generally questioning the very purpose of my existence. Now you throw onto that bonfire the last presidential election and the current political environment, and then top that all off with the recent turmoil within our own UUA. And the end result is there are a lot of things I thought I knew for sure that I'm not so certain about after all. Now, I do realize that in the midst of this turmoil, there are some amazing things happening, some hopeful things happening. People organizing in voices that have not been heard. But all things being even, you'll forgive me if I'm just not really seeing the silver lining that much these days. I just don't know how to respond to the fact that 30% of the American public believe wholeheartedly that all mainstream media, by definition, is untrustworthy. I don't know how to react to the reality that the best case scenario for addressing climate change has now shifted. It's shifted away from prevention towards the necessity of mitigating the now inevitable damage. And most of all, I do not know what I am supposed to do for the people I love who are experiencing deep personal pain. And I don't think there are any easy questions or easy answers to those kinds of questions. And I don't presuppose to stand before you and try to give you any. But I have found something that's helping me get through my days a little bit. So I want to share it with you. In my times of greatest difficulty, I find myself going back to the stories. Sometimes they're the old stories. And I find that they can speak to me, given today's circumstances, in ways that they never have before. So this morning, I want to share a story with you that I first came across almost 30 years ago. It's a tale of Barrington Bunny, and it's found in Martin Bell's short story in his collection, The Way of the Wolf. Once upon a time, in a large forest, there lived a very furry bunny. He had one lopped ear, a tiny black nose, and unusually shiny eyes. And his name was Barrington. Barrington was not really a very handsome bunny. I mean, he was brown and speckled, and his ears didn't stand upright, but he could hop, and he was, as I have said, very, very furry. In a way, winter is the most fun for bunnies. I mean, after all, it gives them an opportunity to hop in the snow, and then they can turn around and see where they've hopped. So, in a way, Winter was fun for Barrington. But in another way, well, winter made Barrington sad. For you see, winter marked the time when all the animal families got together in their cozy homes to celebrate Christmas. I mean, he could hop, and he was very furry, but as far as Barrington knew, he was the only bunny in the forest. When Christmas Eve finally came, Barrington did not feel like going home all by himself. So he decided he was going to hop for a while in the clearing at the center of the forest. Hop, hop, hippity hop. Barrington made tracks in the fresh snow. Hop, hop, hippity hop. And then he cocked his head, and he looked back at the wonderful designs he had made. Bunnies, he thought to himself. They can hop. They are very warm, too, because of how furry they are. Barrington didn't really know whether or not this was true, of course, of all bunnies, because, well, he'd never met another bunny. And when it got too dark to see the tracks he was making, Barrington made up his mind to go home. On his way, he passed a large oak tree, and high up in the branches, there was a great deal of excited chattering going on. Barrington looked up. It was a squirrel family. What a marvelous time they seemed to be having. Hello up there, cried Barrington. Hello down there, came the reply. Having a Christmas party, said Barrington. Oh, yes, answered the squirrels. It's Christmas Eve. Everybody's having a Christmas party. Well, may I come to your Christmas party? Said Barrington softly. Are you a squirrel? No. What are you then? A bunny. A bunny? Yes. Well, how can you come to the party if you're a bunny? Bunnies can't climb trees. Well, that's true, said Barrington thoughtfully. But I can hop, and I'm very furry and warm. We're sorry, called the squirrels. We don't know anything about hopping and being furry, but we do know that in order to come to our house, you have to be able to climb trees. Hello, said Barrington. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, chattered the squirrels. And the unfortunate bunny hopped off towards his tiny house. It was beginning to snow when Barrington reached the river. And near the river bank was a wonderfully constructed house of sticks and mud, and inside there was singing. It's the beavers, thought Barrington. Maybe they will let me come to their party. So he knocked on the door. Who's out there? Called a voice. A Barrington bunny, he replied. And there was a long pause, and then a shiny beaver head broke the water. Hello, Barrington, said the beaver. May I come to your Christmas party? Asked Barrington. The beaver thought for a while, and he said, Yeah, I suppose so. You know how to swim? No, said Barrington, but I can hop, and I'm very furry and warm. Sorry, said the beaver. I don't know anything about hopping and being furry, but I do know that in order to come to our house, you've got to be able to swim. Oh, well, Barrington muttered, his eyes filling with tears. I suppose that's true. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, called the beaver, and he disappeared beneath the surface of the water. Now, even as furry as he was, Barrington was starting to get cold. And the snow was falling so hard that his tiny bunny eyes could scarcely see what was ahead of him. He was almost home, however, when he heard the excited squeaking of field mice beneath the ground. It's a party, thought Barrington, and suddenly he blurted out through his tears, Hello, field mice, this is Barrington Bunny, may I come to your party? But the wind was howling so loudly, and Barrington was sobbing so much that no one heard him. And when there was no response at all, Barrington just sat down in the snow, and he began to cry with all his might. Bunnies, he thought, they aren't any good to anyone. I mean, what good is it to be furry and be able to hop if you don't have any family on Christmas Eve? So Barrington cried and cried, and when he stopped crying, he began to bite on his bony's foot. But he did not move from where he was sitting in the snow. And suddenly, Barrington was aware that he was not alone. He looked up and strained his shiny eyes to see who was there, and to his surprise, he saw a great silver wolf. The wolf was large and strong, and his eyes flashed fire. He was the most beautiful animal Barrington had ever seen. And for a long time, the silver wolf didn't say anything at all. He just stood there, and he looked at Barrington with those terrible eyes. Then slowly and deliberately, the wolf spoke. "Barrington," he said in a gentle voice, "why are you sitting in the snow?" "Because it's Christmas Eve," said Barrington, "and I don't have any family, and bunnies aren't any good to anyone." "Bunnies are too good," said the wolf. "Bunnies can hop, and they are very warm." "What good is that?" said Barrington. "It's very good indeed," the wolf went on, "because it is a gift that bunnies are given, a free gift with no strings attached, and every gift that is given to anyone is given for a reason. And someday you will see why it is good to hop and be furry and warm." "But it's Christmas," moaned Barrington, "and I'm all alone, and I don't have any family at all." "Of course you do," replied the great silver wolf. "All of the animals in the forest are your family." And then the wolf disappeared. I mean, he simply wasn't there. Barrington only blinked his eyes, and when he looked, the wolf was gone. "All the animals in the forest are my family," thought Barrington. "It's good to be a bunny. Bunnies can hop, and that's a gift." Then he said it again. A gift. A free gift. So on into the night, Barrington worked. First, he found the best stick he could, and that was difficult because of the snow. Then, hop, hop, hippity hop to Beaver's house. He left the stick just outside the door with a note on it that read, "Here is a good stick for your house. It is a gift, a free gift, no strings attached. Signed, a member of your family." It's a good thing I can hop, he thought, because the snow is very deep. Then Barrington dug, and soon he gathered together enough dead leaves and grass to make the squirrel's nest warmer. Hop, hop, hippity hop. He laid the grass and leaves just under the large oak tree and attached this message. "A gift, a free gift from a member of your family." It was late when Barrington finally started home, and what made things worse was that he knew there was a blizzard coming. Hop, hop, hippity hop. But soon poor Barrington was lost. The wind howled furiously, and it was very, very cold. "Certainly is cold," he said out loud. "It's a good thing I'm so furry, but I gotta find my way home pretty soon, or I might freeze." Squeak. Squeak. Then he saw it. A baby field mouse, lost out in the snow, and the little mouse was crying. "Hello, little mouse," Barrington called. "Don't cry, I'll be right there." Hippity hop, and Barrington was beside the tiny mouse. "I'm lost," sobbed the little fellow. "I'll never find my way home. I know I'm gonna freeze." "You won't freeze," said Barrington. "I'm a bunny, and bunnies are very furry and warm. You stay right where you are, and I'll cover you up." So Barrington lay on top of the little mouse, and he hugged him tight. The tiny fellow felt himself surrounded by warm fur. He cried for a while, but soon, snug and warm, he fell asleep. Barrington had only two thoughts that long, cold night. First, he thought, it's good to be a bunny. Bunnies are very furry and warm. And then when he felt the heart of the tiny mouse beating regularly, he thought, all the animals in the forest are my family. Next morning, the field mice found their little boy, asleep in the snow, warm and snug beneath the furry carcass of a dead bunny. Their relief and excitement was so great, they didn't even think to question where the bunny had come from. Oh, and as for the beavers and the squirrels, they still wonder which member of their family left the gifts for them that Christmas Eve. After the field mice had left, Barrington's frozen body simply lay in the snow. There was no sound except that of the howling wind. And no one anywhere in the forest noticed the great silver wolf who came to stand beside that brown, lop-eared carcass. But the wolf did come. And he stood there without moving or saying a word all Christmas Day until it was night. And then he disappeared into the forest. Thus ends the tale of Barrington Bunny. Now, I readily admit, in the face of what I was talking about earlier, a story like this may seem trite. But there are some truths that I take from the story. Some important truths for me. First thing I'd like to point out is the only character in the story that really undergoes a genuine transformation is Barrington Bunny. The squirrels, the beavers, the field mice at the end of the story are none the wiser for Barrington's sacrifice. They don't know. There hasn't been some great revelation that has struck all the animals of the forest, making them realize that they're all part of the same family. You know what I take from this? In these difficult times, if our focus is on the need of someone else to change their attitude, maybe our focus is in the wrong place. If our focus is about forcing others to come around to our enlightened view, perhaps the focus is in the wrong place. If there's going to be transformation, real transformation has to happen here. We're not going to get out of our problem in any of these realms by winning the majority. We're only going to get out of this mess if we transform our very lives. Secondly, about that transformation, 30 years ago, I thought this was a story about sacrifice. I thought it was about the bunny saving the field mice. And it is, in a sense. It's a noble sacrifice. But that's not the moment of transformation. The moment of transformation is not when Barrington chooses to save the mice. The moment of transformation happens when Barrington is at his lowest point. When Barrington feels alone and worthless and in great despair. You see, folks, the greatest danger we face is not despair. Despair can move us to action. Despair can give us a moment of revelation. Despair can be the energy that we need. No, the greatest danger we face is cynicism. Because imagine what happens in the story of Barrington Bunny if he sits there in the snow feeling all alone and decides it isn't worth it, he shouldn't try, it doesn't matter. None of the animals are going to let him come anyway, so what's the point? Cynicism threatens us. It is the greatest danger we face. It doesn't wear a political label, and it will destroy us if we allow it to. Finally, the third thing I take from the story is you cannot escape the primacy of the wolf. Without the wolf being there in the right place at the right time, Barrington's story becomes meaningless. A tragedy. Now, some might actually bristle a little bit at the wolf, because it's somewhat obvious that maybe the wolf is at least symbolic of the divine, or the insert whatever terms works for you as a you. And while I suppose that it may be enough for some of us to acknowledge the divine and that be okay, that doesn't work so well for me. I need the white wolf, and I need the white wolf to be real. And over my past year's struggle, I discovered something a bit surprising. I discovered that in this very room, there are people who played the role of the white wolf for me. People who were there. In great ways and in small ways. Sometimes not saying anything, but just being there. For that, you can never know how grateful I am. And I hope that in this safe place, perhaps I too can function as the wolf for somebody else. Because we do need the wolf. And it's not something beyond us, and that we have to hope for a moment of inspiration to come. The wolf is you, and you, and you. The wolf is the spirit within us that helps us look around and see the hurting and say the simple things. Because the wolf is not so brilliant in this story. There's no great, grand revelation. It's a simple, common sense truth. Barrington, why are you in the snow? Barrington, all the animals in the forest are your family. That's the transformation I need, and I suspect it may be the transformation some of you need. Yes, I am world-weary, and I am bone-tired. But I know that all